Before I get into the details of how to create and manipulate pivot tables, I'd like to demonstrate a few of the ways that pivot tables help you analyze your worksheet data. I'll show you how to do these things using the Intro 0101 workbook. That's a sample file that you can find in the Chapter 1 folder of the exercise files collection. A pivot table looks a lot like a regular worksheet in that it contains rows and columns of data, labels, subtotals, and grand totals. What pivot tables enable you to do is change the structure of your data to emphasize different aspects of that data. This workbook, as displayed, contains order data broken down by state and product category for a green energy company. And you can see that I have states, in this case Alabama and Alaska, for which I have a total, and then categories for which customers placed orders. So for Alabama, it was landscape lighting, light bulbs, and solar panels, and for Alaska, it was only batteries and solar panels. If I want to change the arrangement of this pivot table, I can do that by going to the Pivot Table Fields task pane, and in the Fields area, I can drag the category field from the rows area to the columns area. So I will drag category to columns, and you can see the organization of the pivot table changes. Now I have state still providing the rows values, Alabama, Alaska, California, and so on. And then in the columns area, I have category, and you can see that the column labels are batteries, grid tie inverters, and so on. The values area contains the sum of total price, so that is the total of all of the orders. And I could also, if I want to, create a filter based on a field that does not appear within the pivot table. And I'll describe how to do all of that elsewhere in the course. You can also filter data in your pivot table. There are a number of ways to do that, but if you go to the Pivot Table Fields area and click the down arrow next to the name of the field by which you want to filter, in this case, I'll make it state, and I'll clear all the selections, and I'll leave just Alabama, Alaska, and California, the first three. Click OK, and you see that the pivot table has now been filtered. And the row label indicator here, or filter arrow, has a funnel on it indicating that there is a manual filter in place. If I want to undo the filter, I can go to the row labels filter arrow and click Clear Filter from State. If you want to change the appearance of your pivot table, there are a number of ways to do that. One straightforward way is to apply a built-in style. For that, click any cell in the pivot table, then go to the Design contextual tab on the ribbon, and then from the Pivot Table Styles gallery that appears, click the one that you want. I'll click the More button at the bottom right corner of the gallery, and I'll scroll down, and I'll pick one that has significant visual contrast. Let's make it this one here. So as you can see, this style is much different than the previous one. I don't like it that much. I don't believe there's a lot of visibility, so I'll click the darker blue. And if I want to, I can apply other styles as appropriate. I hope this brief demonstration has given you a feel for pivot tables' capabilities. In the remaining movies in this course, I'll go into much more detail on how to create and manipulate pivot tables and the data they contain.